This month, we are celebrating what we call what we in the whole high desert, actually the whole California Writers Club call the Jack London Award. Jack London was loosely affiliated with the forming of the California Writers Club. And so they've established an award in his name. It's only offered every 2 years, and it's given to someone who has shown exceptional service to the club, to the local branch. And we have chosen Michael Raff to be our Jack London member. So September the 20th, Mike and I will be getting on a plane. We'll be flying to Oakland. We'll be there for the presentation, the awards. It's going to be a big deal. But I just really am so happy that we're recognizing Mike for his years and years and years of service to this branch. And now, the other thing is, Mike is also our spotlight person. So, and I gotta tell you, he hates this. He hates this. He's over there saying, Mike, why are you doing this to me? Mike is gonna come up and do a quick introduction of who he is so that members of our club can know him, which is good. And then he is going to introduce our speaker. So come on up, Mike.
Thanks for embarrassing me, Mike.
Anytime, anytime.
Well, most of you know me. I'm the membership chair, and the critique group chair, and the what do you call it, the Goodwill ambassador, and
And the vice president.
oh, vice president, I forgot that one. And I've been writing since I was 13, and I did a detour in the 80s with my writing, and specializing in horror, but I write everything except maybe poetry. Sorry about that, Mary. And yeah, I've been in the club since January 2011. I'm on Amazon, and I have 10 books self-published. Anyway, enough about me. I wrote up a very nice, detailed introduction for our guest speaker, and she emailed me, no, just say this and that. So I printed them both up, and then I forgot to bring them. So, our guest speaker is very accomplished, a former educator. She's published, she's on Amazon. She's got a few books out, a couple of them I've read. I tell you, if you're an animal lover, you gotta get this book, The Dogs Who Saved Me, and boy, it's a great book, and all the proceeds go to animal groups, animal rescue groups, even better. So it's my honor to present S.K. Murphy. Come on up. Take your time.
Awesome. Thank you.
Oh.
And thank you for the plug. I appreciate that.
Do you need a chair for that, to elevate it?
Yeah.
Let me put that on.
That would be really cool. Good morning. And I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you for inviting me, except I can't because you didn't, because I invited myself in case you didn't know it. Sorry. Oh, do you like my shirt?
Yeah.
Yes.
What does it say?
It doesn't say anything. It's a dog and a cat.
Oh, cool.
Okay. More on this shirt later. I'm going to be working on from half of my notes, I had to laugh. One Mike said, I had the introduction all printed out and I left it at home. Almost left half my notes at home, didn't, remembered them at the last minute, but there's only half of them. I'm going to explain that. But I want to start off with asking either Scott or Richard if you could take that box of candy. I brought you chocolate. There's some peppermints in there, some Smarties, because my grandkids say, and just pass that around so everybody gets candy,
You're
please.
going to come back and take it home.
Eat all the candy. There's also really pretty bookmarks in there. So if you need a bookmark, take a really pretty bookmark, but please eat all the candy, because if you don't, I have to take it home, and then I have to not look, it goes in a cupboard, I can't look at it till the grandkids come over. By the way, my grandkids are all in their 20s, so if you're thinking, oh, that's, no. You're getting the chocolate courtesy of my youngest granddaughter, who is 25. I'm going to explain that in a minute, because I need to tell you while the box goes around about my last 24 hours. Because I know you're interested. Right? Okay, here's how it started. Got up yesterday morning at 5 a.m. Wait, scratch that. Woke up at 3:30 because I have a cat. And see, this has been a really busy week. A lot of stuff going on. Last weekend, I kind of looked over, what do I need to do? Oh, I'm doing that thing with the HDCWC, and I'm so excited I got to do my notes. Got to make those notes, got to go over the notes, think about what I'm going to talk about, blah, blah, blah. Every day something happened, every day that got put off, I got half the notes done. So Thursday night, I go to bed with this solemn intention. Tomorrow, getting up at 5 a.m., by the way, that's the time I usually get up, and this is how the day is going to go. Boom, 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 boom. And half the day is going to be spent on finishing my notes. 3:30 a.m., my cat hawks up a major hairball on my sheets on the bed. That's okay, right? Cat lovers, where are you? Where's my tribe? Right? So you hear that, you're in a dead sleep, and you're... Oh my God. And then you try not to, is it on the bed? I don't want to know. Is it on the floor? So I get up, and of course it's adding, I have to add to all the other things I have to do, right? Which is, by the way, where's my dog lovers? Okay, I have an Australian cattle dog. Anybody familiar? Also known as a blue heeler? Yeah, we call them velociraptors, those of us who have them. So I have a 2-year-old velociraptor at home who gets walked 3 times a day. So, yeah. So add to all the things I have to do yesterday, it's washing the sheets, pulling all the bedding off the bed and washing because my cat is hawked up. So, but that's okay, we'll just add that, da-da-da-da. So day spins on quickly in the morning, and I do my usual take the dogs out, bring the dogs back in, feed the dogs, take the dogs out, bring the dogs back in, walk the dogs, bring the dogs back, eat breakfast, take the cattle dog out for a second walk. I do all the stuff I have to do. I throw the laundry in. I'm on it. I'm on everything. And it gets down to I have 1 hour to finish my notes. And it's perfect. And the house is quiet, the dogs are quiet, the cat's not bugging me. And I sit down, okay, I better put my phone over here, just ding. I get a text from my granddaughter. Nana, can you talk to me today? Question mark, exclamation point, question mark, question mark, question mark. Okay, I love you guys. This is my favorite branch of CWC. Shh, don't tell the other CWC branches. You're my favorite branch, but it's my granddaughter. So I text her back. Of course I can, sweetheart. When do you want to talk? Right now. Of course, because I have 1 hour until I have to do other stuff. So of course I get on the phone with her, and of course she talks to me for an hour. During that conversation, I say something to her like, honey, I don't have a lot of time this morning because I got this speaking thing tomorrow, and oh yeah, I start out the sentence, I was going to go get some chocolate. And at that point, I'm going to tell her, but I'm just not going to have time. And when I get that far in the sentence, she interrupts me to say, oh, that's so neat, you know, you always take candy and chocolate for them. I think it's so cool that you take chocolate. You really need to take chocolate. That's cool, Nana. Okay, so now I'm guilted into, I have to go to the store, add that in to go and get the chocolate, which I did after our hour-long conversation, at the end of which I told her how much I love her, and she goes, I did have one more thing to tell you, but it's a big thing. Okay, honey, well, you know I'm not going to be home tomorrow because I have to, I know. So what time do you go to bed tonight? Okay, so usually walk the dog at 7, I'm back by 7:30, I get ready for bed, we're all in bed by 8 o'clock, that's the way it works. And she goes, yeah. So between 7 and 8? Okay, sure, you can call me. It's a really big thing, but I have to, you know, just, I know you're busy and you've got to go to the store and get the chocolate.
Thank you.
So I hang up and I do my thing and I go to the store and I get the chocolate, but by the time I get back, it's time to eat lunch and I need to take a half an hour nap. And then the gardeners come and it just wakes me up anyway, and so it doesn't matter. But then I get up and my son is texting me because he just got back from Scotland. Yay him, because so he's sending me text. I sit down to work on my notes and he's sending me text messages, one picture at a time, 16 pictures. So finally I get up to turn my phone off, but when I do, my dog goes, is it dinner time? Let's go! So then it's dinner time, and I get her dinner, and then I take her out, and I throw down some kind of dinner. I don't even remember what I ate last night, and I'm ready to go and walk her so I can get back and talk to my granddaughter, and I get a text message from my granddaughter saying, Nana, can you talk right now? Of course I can. So we talk on the phone while I walk the dog, and I come back. Did you know you can have a cell phone conversation while you floss and brush your teeth? Just push the little mute button, and every once in a while you unpush it, and then you go, honey, oh, and then you push it again. She tells me really and truly big news, personal, confidential, can't tell anybody. I have to promise her 3 times before she tells me that it takes an hour and a half. So I talk to her until bedtime, but I'm finally done talking to her. I never get back to my notes. I know there's no way this morning I'm going to get to my notes, and what are you going to do? What are you going to do? I'm going to come with half my notes because I've done this before and I know what I'm doing. So take a deep breath and go, all I need to do right now is put the dogs to bed and go to bed. And I put the dogs to bed and I walk in my bedroom, and do you know what's on my bed? All the bedding that I washed, but I never made the bed. Who's done that? But you have to make your bed. Do you have to make your bed before I have to make my bed before I go to bed. And I stood and looked at my bed and said out loud to the cat, I have to make my bed before I go to bed. She's like, I don't care, let's go. And she jumps on the bed because that's what cats do. Right, cat people? They're going to be on the bed while you're making the bed. But I make the bed and I sleep, and it's all good. It's all good, and I get up this morning, and of course it's another rush because I have to have all of the dog stuff done so I can get out the door by 8:15. And I'm about to get dressed, and I look in my closet. I had this really nice outfit that I was going to wear so that I could look like a professional, accomplished writer. And I just went, you know what? No. I'm wearing a t-shirt and jeans. This is me.
Amen.
Thank you. This is why I love you guys, because you're just like, whatever, we love you. We don't care. By the way, got already out the door by 8:15. You are proud of me, aren't you? Exactly on time. Yes, and then I got half a mile down the road. By the way, I live in a senior community, so there are 12 speed bumps and dips between my house and getting out. The speed limit is 10 miles an hour. So I'm going down, and I went, oh, I need a tissue. It's in my purse. No. Turn around, go back, all the way, speed bumps, dip, speed bump, dip, all the way back to the house, got my purse. I'm laughing by this time. All the way back, get my purse, And of course, if you have animals, you have to walk in the door going, Mama's home, but just for a second. Right? I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I'm leaving again. Sorry. I love you. I'll be back. We'll be right back. And we lie every time. And then I leave. And I'm like, okay, still at a good time. It's not going to matter. I'm going to get there by 9:30-ish. And get 10 miles down the road. I got as far as Redlands when my truck went, beep, beep, beep. You have a low tire. Still have it. I don't care. What am I going to do? I don't have my little pump up the tire thingamajiggy in the truck, so I'm just like, thanks truck for letting me know. I'm going. I may get to the Cajon Pass, and if it's a slow leak, I'm going to be pulled over and calling Mike and going, I'm in the Cajon Pass. Sorry. Wing it. That's why I have half my notes. But I'm here. Yay! Thank you. And let me tell you why I told you that little anecdote. Because this is what I've learned from doing speaking engagements. By the way, I've been a CWC member since, I think, 1995. 1995 or 1996, whenever Inland Empire branch opened, I was one of the founding members of Inland Empire branch. I'm also a member of Diamond Valley Writers Guild out of Hemet. And if you're not a member of Diamond Valley Writers Guild, which you can find online, I highly recommend that you join that as well. And if we have time, we'll talk about that too. But this is what I have learned over time, and that is and my students helped me learn this because I taught high school and I taught college. My high school students, they're brutally honest. You probably know that. And so they'll tell you on the first day of school, you look mean, are you? No, honey, I love you. I'm actually really nice. This is my face. And I'm just kind of stuck with it. Oh, did I add in the part of when I woke up this morning and because my last name is Murphy, so that anything that can go wrong will, and at the worst possible moment, that somehow I managed to bite the side of my cheek in the night. So if you see me wincing, it's probably because I bit it again. It was probably when the cat came to sleep with me, because if you're a cat owner, you know once the cat gets in the bed, you can't move. You're not allowed to move. This is probably that. But I would try to put my students at ease. And actually, there's science behind that. Because when you meet a new person now, some of you I already know. So you know me, I'm not a threat. But the rest of you that have never seen me before, when somebody new gets up here, the first thing your primal brain does, which is, I'm doing this because it's at the back of your head, your primal brain goes, is this a threat or not a threat? Let's look at what she's wearing. I'm not sure. It looks very severe. So I didn't wear very severe, right? I wore jeans and a t-shirt. And let's look at how she's speaking. And how is she talking to us? Because your primal brain is evaluating and assessing whether you're going to trust me or not, whether you feel safe. I want to teach you something that maybe you already know or maybe you don't, but you're not going to learn it if you don't feel safe. You're also not going to learn it if you feel like you're being condescended to, right? So I'm not here because I'm any smarter than you. I'm not here because I'm more accomplished than you. Although I will tell you, and I'm really grateful to Mike for mentioning, Kay is very accomplished. I've done stuff, but that's because I've literally been publishing for 50 years. My first nationally published piece in a national magazine was when I was 21 years old. That was a writing contest. And I didn't win. But I got third place. And so they published my piece, which gave me a huge launch into my writing career, which I had wanted since I was 9 and in the 4th grade. So yay. I turned 71 this year. I know I don't look it, do I? Just kidding. I feel it every year of it. So it's literally been 50 years that I've been doing this. So I've learned some stuff along the way. I've come to talk to you about, and I'm going to say it really quickly, and I'm going to write some stuff on the board. It won't take long. You're going to have questions. But let me tell you what I have not come here to do. I've already told you I didn't come here to condescend to you. I've also not come here to sell books. I have a bunch of books at home. I could have brought books to sell. If you want to buy my books because you listen to me talk and you think, she doesn't sound dumb, I might like her book. And I can tell you a little bit about my books, maybe as we go along. I am most proud of, hold on. When I retired from teaching, I wrote a fantasy series for middle grade kids. So if you have a grandchild or a child that's like between 8 and 12, there's only 4 books in the series. They have dragons, they have cats, they have dogs. There's no profanity. There's no precocious child. There are no stupid parents. Okay, there's one stupid parent, but she's a minor character, and we know that we're not supposed to like her. There is not putting a child in a situation where they're going to be harmed, maybe a couple times, but only briefly. These are very gentle, loving, kind, respect your elders, love people, love animals kind of books. I'm really proud of this. The first one is called Fae Girl. We can talk about that later. We can talk about anything. But the reason I don't sell my books is that are there published? I know there are. Who's independently published, as we call it, or self-published here? Okay, so when you go places, and I know you want to, if you sell your own books in the state of California, you know you have to charge sales tax, and you know you have to give that to the state of California if you're going to do it legally, or you have to sell your books at your cost. I don't mind selling my books at my cost, but if you are interested and you want to buy one of my books on Amazon, that makes my ranking on Amazon go up. So if you love me so much you want to buy one of my books, and if you love me but you don't want to, I love you just as much. But if you do, you're helping my ranking on Amazon go up by buying my book on Amazon. Also, if you love me so much that you read one of my books and you want to write a review, for which I will be eternally grateful, then when you write that review, it says this book was purchased on Amazon, which gives legitimacy to your review, right? Because as self-published authors, we often love to tell our friends, I'll give you a copy of my book if you write me a review. Okay, which I don't do anymore. I did in the beginning, but I don't do that anymore. I'd rather people just do it. And when you purchase it from Amazon and then review it, it says that. That is getting more and more important as time goes on. And we can talk about more and you can ask questions. Okay, so here's my first question for you. I don't want to frighten you, but where are my introverted people? The people who never speak out loud in a group like this. I know it's hard to raise your hand if you're really introverted and scared. I'm not going to call on you. Okay. You're my tribe, right? Right? When I won that contest when I was 21, part of my thing that I won was entry into a writers' conference that I went to every year for 7 years, and I learned everything I needed to do to publish my first book by the time I was 25. I never asked a question because I was too introverted to do so. So introverted people, you're safe here. If you have a question and you want to write it on a piece of paper and you want to hold up your hand with the question written on the piece of paper because you don't want to say the question out loud, I will have somebody come to you and fetch that piece of paper so that you don't have to say it out loud, seriously, while I'm talking. Okay? That said, I need an extrovert. because I need a helper. Does anyone want to come up and, oh, so we're not, oh, thank you, thank you. Yeah, could you please?
Yes, ma'am.
Because I didn't have any time to practice on the whiteboard, so I don't even know what we're doing. Okay, you're going to be on this side of me.
Okay.
She's an extroverted extrovert.
Actually, I'm not. I'm more an introvert that learned how to be an extrovert.
Oh, I like that all the better.
I'm the
Terry,
wallflower.
I'm Kay. It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Terry Simon.
Okay, so anywhere on one of these whiteboards, preferably that one, I
Okay.
think, can you write down my email address?
Yes,
which
ma'am.
Which is KAYZ, lowercase k, AYZPEN. That spells K's pen, K's pen. Get it? At Verizon.net. You too can write this down if you think of a question later and you would like to contact me, or you would like to contact me and say, please don't ever come back to our group and speak again. All right. And my phone number, 909. I'm in the 909. 229-9508. Thank you ever so much. I'm only sharing this with you because we are all friends here. Please don't give out my phone number to anybody. Please don't sell it. 9508.
My
Okay.
five was a little wonky.
Yeah, that's perfect for this moment. Okay, one more thing, and then we're going to talk about short stories. And hold on, I need to put my phone out. Oh, is that clock right at the? That's perfect. Okay, good. When do you want me to stop talking? 11:30 or something?
We usually take a break at 11 or 11-ish, so.
Oh, okay. So you
But you've got the microphone, you get to do whatever you
do you want me to be done at 11?
No, we usually take a short break and then we do questions and answers, or you can continue speaking after.
Okay. Well, okay.
You're in charge of you this morning.
That's too much power. Okay, Terry, take a breath because I'm not going to need you for a sec. Maybe put the cap on that.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
Almost forgot that I wanted to read you a poem. This will only take a second. Because in the midst of everything else happening this week, I got one of those letters that we get in the mail that says, hey, sorry we have to let you know this, but yeah, like, our server was hacked by a bad guy. So, yeah, your personal information is out there on the dark web. So in this case, the letter came from, and this is the thing I did not know. You guys probably know, you're probably smarter than I am, but I have Kaiser. I get my eyes checked and I get my glasses through Kaiser. Kaiser, I guess, independently contracts with some company. It was that company. So I went for an eye exam a year ago. So somewhere in that year, their server was hacked. So this letter says, your medical information is on the dark web. And so I'm reading this, and you know how you're like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And I get to the bottom of the letter, and then I just start laughing. Because they don't have my social security number, they don't have my credit card number, they have my medical information. Okay, bad guy, what you gonna do with that? Go. So August is the month in which Cascadia Labs does their postcard poetry fest. Anybody do that? Where's my poets? Anyone? Okay. Cascadia Poetry Labs does this thing where they send you a list of 31 other poets, and in August you write a poem a day and send it on a postcard to another poet. It's so much fun. Please sign up and do it if you write poetry. It's on a postcard, so it can't be long poems. And it's challenging, I have to admit. I do resort to haikus from time to time when I can't think of anything else. But it's lovely, and so I have all this poetry in my head because all the month of August I'm doing this poetry. So when I get this letter, I start writing. I think it's going to be a short poem, but it's not, because I start writing this poem. And I want to share this poem with you, which has nothing to do with what I'm talking about today, but will tell you a lot about me. As if you needed to know any more. But we're friends now, right?
Yep.
So the poem is entitled, Patient Has a History of. All of this is true, by the way. Patient has a history of allergies to pollen, old books, and pet hair. Patient is habituated to living with cats and dogs, so clearly does not care. Poor eyesight, poor foresight, profound hindsight, night blindness, and detrimental kindness. Childhood trauma, avoiding drama, severe concussion, infernal combustion, an episode of pleurisy, a lifelong disdain of hypocrisy, endometriosis, and a boyfriend's halitosis. Wasn't my boyfriend very long. Debilitating sciatica, Lord help me, not that again. Skin cancer, melanoma, and basal cell, mostly recovered, you can hardly tell. Congenital bronchiectasis, issues with friends who fail to understand this. Hypothyroidism, chronic pessimism. Trauma-related anxieties, suicidal tendencies. The universe's clemency in granting her serenity. You always want that gut punch right then if you're writing a poem, right? So, take that, bad guys on the dark web. Do whatever you want with my medical history. Now all these people know it. Okay, so as we go along here, you're going to have questions. If you have questions, please feel free to raise your hand and go, wait, I need clarity. You're talking too fast. You're talking too slow. I got bored. If you get bored, eat your candy. Okay. So, around the time you guys had a short story contest, I believe the Bob Isbell short story contest, Diamond Valley Writers Guild was also doing an anthology. I was asked to help with that anthology. So at some point, Mike Graff and I had a conversation about the difference between short stories and memoir pieces. And so it was a fascinating conversation. And so I said to him in that conversation, hey, sometime if you need a guest speaker for High Desert, I'd be happy to come up and talk about the difference between short stories and memoir pieces, because when we were working on the anthology for Diamond Valley Writers Guild, it became obvious that a lot of people weren't quite sure. So, my writer person on that side, please write short story dash fiction. Short stories are fiction, always fiction, completely fiction, 100% fiction. I know what you're thinking right now. What if I had this story, who was I talking to earlier, that said, I had this story, the guy told me, and so I used this much of it, right? And I did a short story based on it. Yes, absolutely. We get our ideas from things that happen in real life, so that's fine. But a short story is fiction, and by the way, not always short. This was a thing that we kind of struggled with the anthology too, because they wanted everything to be really short. We want everything to be short, but some short stories need time. So they're not always short, sometimes they are. Okay, short stories, fiction. Memoir.
Okay, I knew you were going to say that word.
M-E-M.
Thank you.
It's French. O-I-R.
Oh, I knew I was so close.
Okay, nonfiction. That is not the way you pronounce memoir, by the way. It's the way I pronounce it, but it's not the way it's pronounced correctly. Ask your phone sometime. Your phone will tell you how to pronounce it. And my friend Peggy likes to say it, however it is, memoir. Are you still working on your memoir, okay? I mean, it sounds so beautiful. That can't come out of my mouth that way. It just never will. Okay, and then narrative. And this is going to be a description or a list of details. Beautiful. How are we doing? We're doing so perfect. Okay. Then I'm going to borrow the pen from you, because we're going to talk about short stories first. This is why I needed a helper, because can you take
Oh,
the
I'm
top off?
sorry. I'm trying to help, and I made it worse, didn't I?
No, you just made it perfect. Does that look familiar to anybody? Yeah. Where's the teachers in the room? The English teachers are going, oh, okay, yeah, I've seen that before. Okay, so for some of you in your textbooks, you saw a thing like this for short stories. For some of you, you saw this. There's one textbook, English textbook, that does that for a short story. That's wrong. No. Because this is the peak of the story. This is the climax of the story, so we're almost done right here. Right? So you can't have the climax and then a whole bunch of other stuff. This is called the rising action. That's an R. This is why we need Terry. All right? This beginning part is called the exposition. Why? Because it's when we expose, we reveal who the main character is and what the problem is in the story, and probably the antagonist as well, right? So you can't have a problem unless you have a protagonist and an antagonist in some way. So this is the exposition, then you have the rising action where things get worse and worse and worse and worse until they either get better or everybody dies. Sometimes everybody dies. And then this is the resolution or the denouement. That's how you say it in French. How the problem is solved. It's just easy like that. So once you have the climax of the story, you may have one or two other things, or you may not have anything at all, right? Can you even read that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Perfect. This is your standard short story, okay? But it's fiction. It's fiction, okay? And a short story, do we have an eraser, Terry?
Yes, ma'am.
That's in the box.
Do I erase it?
Would you please? Because I'm going to put something else and then I'm going to hand the pen back to you.
Okay.
Okay, hold on.
Okay.
How did you do that so nicely? Okay, I'm going to hand this back to you.
Okay.
Okay. Short story is a man in a hole trying to get out. Have you heard this before?
No.
First time I heard that definition, I was so confused. It was in a literature class, and the teacher was like, of course we all know that a short story is a man in a hole trying to get out. What is he talking about? I didn't understand at all what she was talking about. And of course we all know. Oh wait, Terry, I need your help on this. Can you fill in his hat? And then can you write across the top, Sam's wedding day? So I'm going to give you hopefully a pretty quick example of a short story. Right? Sam's wedding day. Notice Sam is wearing the top hat because it's his wedding day. It's very, very fancy and very formal. Sam, in my head, is an Irishman. That's how I hear the voices, but I hear a lot of voices in my head. Don't be scared. So, Sam's fiance, we find out in the very beginning of the story, probably in the first paragraph, Sam's fiance has said, Sam, I love you, but you're always late, and I'm just letting you know, if you're late for our wedding, the wedding's off, and it's over between us. So be on time. So of course, Sam goes off to go to his wedding, and being so dearly in love with his fiancée, he decides, of course, he's going to take a shortcut so that he gets there on time. What do we know when anybody takes a shortcut in a story, in a book, in a film? What happens to them?
Something unexpected.
Something bad, right? As soon as you know, and like it could be the first 4 lines. So Sam decided he would take a shortcut. Oh, you're already shaking your head, right? Because what is the writer? The writer's giving you little nudges. What do we call that?
Foreshadowing.
Foreshadowing. Okay, he's going to take it. Oh, we already know he's screwed. Oh. So Terry, if you would now erase Sam and put him in the bottom of the hole. So we learn about Sam and his fiancée in the first paragraph of the story. Again, that's the exposition. And part of the exposition is knowing that, and you can put a sad face on him if you want. Part of the exposition is knowing what the problem is. We have a problem because, of course, he took a shortcut, and what happens? He falls in a hole, right? It's all covered with leaves. He doesn't see it. He's thinking about his wedding night, probably whistling, maybe singing some Irish drinking song. If he's one of my cousins, definitely yes. And he falls in the hole. So now we have a man in a hole trying to get out. This is a short story, right? Maybe not so short, depending on how long it takes Sam to get out. So when I had the diagram up about the rising action, in a short story, what you want to strive to do is present a problem and then make it worse. Make it worse and make it worse. If we put Sam in the hole, and then immediately his best man comes down the trail and goes, hold on, here's a vine, I'll help you out, and he's done. This was the problem I saw over and over when I was reading stuff for our anthology for Diamond Valley Writers Guild, where people would write a short story. They would put their protagonist would have a problem, and they would immediately solve it. 500 words later, we're done. Well, okay, that's nice, but that's more of a narrative. Because you just sort of told me Sam was walking, he fell in a hole, he found a thing of rope in the bottom of the hole, he somehow managed to get himself out, and then he went, and I'm done. And that's my short story. Well, it may be beautifully written, but I'm kind of not engaged in that. And you wouldn't be either, right? What we want to do when we're writing a short story is make it worse. How can we make Sam's situation worse? He broke his leg. Let's give him a broken leg. Oh, wait, I can do that.
There we go.
Oh, looks like a compound fracture. So now he can't move, right?
And it starts to rain, so the hole's filling up with water.
Oh, no. Okay, hold that thought. Before that happens, because he can't move now, let's put a snake in the hole.
Oh my goodness.
He's in there, pretty dark, but you always hear a rattlesnake before you see it, usually.
Okay.
It's a very interesting snake. He has to be coiled, though. Let's be technically correct. Well, if he's going to threaten to strike, he has to be. You know this about snakes, right? If it's coiled, it's probably going to strike at you. If it's just laying across the trail, you're pretty safe. Pretty safe.
You can coil fast.
Always avoid. Okay. So now he's broken his leg, so we've made it worse. We could probably go on and on making it worse and worse for Sam, but I think you get my point on this, right? That if you're going to write a short story, it is imperative that whatever problem you introduce, don't solve it right away. Make it worse, and make it worse, and make it as dark as possible, okay? So let's put a little rain cloud up here, because that was a really good idea. I'll tell you how my high school students used to solve this in a matter of moments. It starts raining. Oh, there's lightning too. We need some little dots of rain going
Okay,
down.
done.
Right, because the hole is now going to fill up with water. But what does it mean for Sam? He just manages, even with this broken leg, to swim to the surface and get out of the hole. Yay! Okay, so right when we think he's going to drown, he manages to start swimming and he swims up, which would be our climax, right? But there needs to be a denouement. What happens after the climax? Does he make it to his wedding on time? Yes, of course he does. He's completely covered with mud and drenching wet, but that's okay because he makes it to his wedding on time. Yay! Isn't that nice? Okay. So we can erase this. Actually, erase all of it except leave wedding day.
Okay. Do you want me to leave Sam too, or take Sam off?
Take Sam off. And put my wedding day,
Okay.
not mine. But my wedding day. As in, you're going to write this as a memoir piece. So, let me say this about memoir, and I'm going to say a few more things and then we'll take our break. If you were writing this as a memoir piece, you would be writing it in first person, okay? There would be no fiction in it. As tempting as it may be to somewhat fictionalize something that happened to you in real life, please, please don't do that. If you're going to write a memoir piece, please make it 100% what really happened to you. Yes.
How about if you're writing and you don't want to expose somebody that you know with a problem, and you change their names?
Please expose them. Okay, I'm just kidding. Just change their name, but make sure that you always say, names have been changed
Okay, gotcha.
because I don't want to be sued. Honestly, I mean, you could say to protect people, but it's not to protect yourself because you don't want to be sued. When I wrote the book that Mike mentioned, that's an old person bend over. The Dogs Who Saved Me, when I wrote this, I didn't write everything about my ex-husband that I could have written. And the reason I didn't was that I knew he was going to read it as soon as, even though we had no contact with each other. But I asked my daughter after the book came out, hey, did your dad read my book? And she goes, funny you should say that, Mom. Yeah, Dad said he read your book. I knew he was going to, because he knew he was going to be in it, right? And I'm sure he read it very carefully, and I'm sure he would have sued me if he could. But he didn't, because he couldn't. Oh, I could tell you stories though, but I won't. Yeah, sometimes you need to change the names, but please make sure when you're writing a memoir piece, and I know this is what gets difficult in a memoir piece. You can't remember every bit of dialogue you had with somebody, right? When you're writing fiction, when you're writing about Sam, you can just make up all the dialogue you want, but we don't have little recorders in our head. If you're crazy like me and you go home and journal every night, if something happens, you're going to write down what I said this and he said that and blah, blah, blah. And the reason I do it, and because I write memoir, and so I might want to come back later and write about that, and I want to remember what the person said. If you're writing dialogue in a memoir piece, it's okay if you remember the gist of what was said. Don't put words in people's mouths. be careful about that. But yes, it's okay if you remember the gist of what they say. The rest of it should be 100% this really happened. When I wrote The Dogs Who Saved Me, I gave it to an acquaintance who asked to read it. That was a mistake. She got to the end of it and she said, but I got to the end of this, and at the end of this book, I don't have a dog. And she said, you don't have a dog at the end. And I said, that's correct, because I don't have a dog right now. And she goes, yeah, I didn't like the ending. But that's where I am in life right now. That is the ending. Yeah, but I didn't like it. So I said, what would you suggest? Oh, I would suggest that you write in there that I was living in Mount Baldy, that you moved down from the mountain and you could have a dog and you had just adopted a new dog. But I haven't. I still live here and I don't. And she goes, that's okay. They won't know. The reason this woman wanted to read my book was that she had a memoir. And I had read her memoir and reviewed it for her. And so now I'm thinking about her memoir because she's telling me that I should make up stuff for my memoir to make it better at the end. So now I don't think I'll ever trust anything. She has written a couple more memoirs, and I won't read her because I don't know that her memoir is really a memoir. Okay, so really quickly, so you can have your break. If you were writing that story of Sam in the Hole as a memoir piece, it would be essentially the same in terms of our line that went up, right? Except that you would be writing it in first person and you would be starting with, instead of here's a problem between this person and that person, you'd be starting with, this thing happened to me and it shaped my life in a certain way. And I'm going to tell you about it. That's what a memoir piece is. And it should always have, at the end of it, some kind of takeaway. How were you changed through this event that happened to you? There needs to be something that we can take away that can inspire us or give us courage or a kick in the butt if that's what we need. But there needs to be some kind of takeaway, not necessarily a didactic lesson, but something like that. Really quickly, getting back to the fiction in your short story. I'm saying memoir is going to be in first person, obviously, because you're telling. If it's a short story and it's fiction, can you write in first person? Should you write in first person? You can. Edgar Allan Poe was very innovative when he wrote stories like The Telltale Heart. Do you remember that one? What makes that story really creepy is he's telling you about his own descent into madness from first person. It's really scary and creepy, the way he talks about it. And if you haven't read it lately or since high school, go back and reread it. But it's a short story, but it's in first person. Makes it all the scarier. Okay, I'll shut up and we can have a break and then we can go on. Okay? Who wants this?
I'm not going to eat up any more of the time. I'm going to let Kay come back. And let's welcome her with a round of applause, please.
Oh my goodness. I want to answer your questions. Before I do, I need Terry again. Okay. No, I got this, Terry, I got this.
You got it? Okay.
On the topic of memoir and short story, I brought you a lot of copies of the Sun magazine. This is what it looks like. Anybody read this currently?
No.
This is a literary magazine for grown-ups. Don't leave it laying around for your grandkids or your kids. Not that there's a lot of sex in it. There's sometimes a little sex in it, but it's usually weird, kinky sex. You can read that if you want. Tell no tales, but I love everybody. The Sun has short stories, and it has memoir pieces. But it also has, for those of you who are uninitiated, Reader's Right. And the Reader's Right section is you're given a topic. You know that because I'm looking for it, I'm not going to be able to find it really quick, right? Hold on, it's in here. You're given a topic. You can write long or short. They'll edit it. The Sun is very well known for editing. What is it?
And the notes you didn't write.
Oh, this was an interesting one. The topic for this one was dating apps. I have stories you don't want to know. So they'll give you a topic and you submit your whatever your thing is, but it has to be true. And it's a really good exercise in just responding. And so the readers write in and they'll say, this has happened to me, blah, 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 along whatever the topic is. And they're very, very fascinating. Some are very short, some are very long. If they use your particular submission, they give you a year subscription to the magazine for free. So you don't get paid, but you get a literary magazine with memoir pieces and short stories and beautiful photography and beautiful poetry for a year for free. So I brought you, it looks like a lot of copies. So I brought you a lot of copies, so feel free to take one if you want to try for Reader's Right, or just read them to kind of get an idea of memoir pieces versus short fiction, etc., etc. Please do that. And I'm looking for my other book. So Scott, are you still sitting in the same place? Thanks, that's helpful. During the break, so Scott brought up this question that we could probably talk about for the entire time. And his question was regard to creative nonfiction. You hear a lot about creative nonfiction and how is that different from memoir. So memoir, I'm telling about something that happened to me. In creative nonfiction, which is what he's struggling with right now, because when something has happened in the past, but it's a historical kind of thing or a fascinating story, and you want to write about it, and you want to write about it creatively, and you want your reader to be interested, you can't fictionalize it unless you want to fictionalize it, but then you have to say this is fiction, now a novel, right? So if it's going to be nonfiction, it's a problem if everyone is no longer with us, because you can't know their frame of mind, you can't interview them, as Scott pointed out. When I was writing this book, The Tainted Legacy of Bertha Gifford, by the way, Bertha Gifford is my great-grandmother. She is an alleged serial killer. Don't believe everything that you... I saw heads just suddenly go, what? That's a little detail. Okay, I used to always start out my speaking things talking about my great-grandmother who was accused of being a serial killer and went to trial in 1928. But I don't do that anymore because people only ask questions about my great-grandmother. They're like, what? And what did she... I know. You can Google her. Her name is Bertha Gifford. Please don't. I mean, you can Google her, but don't believe all the crazy stuff that's online. Just read my book. And if you don't want to buy it, just email me and go, okay, I really want a copy of your book. Okay, and then I'll just send you one. Because, anyway, originally I wrote this as a true crime book because she was alleged to have poisoned quite a number of people. My great-grandmother, my mom's grandma. My mom was 10 and living with her at the time when she was arrested. My mom remembered, my mom is no longer with us. This book came out when my mom was 90, and she died when she was 91. And this book gave her closure about what happened to her when she was a child, and about why her grandmother was arrested. So, originally I wrote this book as a true crime piece. And when I finished it, I started sending it off, and there's a whole long story about why I wrote it and when I wrote it. We won't get into that. But I started sending it to publishers, and a really nice publisher in Santa Monica contacted me and said, I like what you sent me. Send me the whole book. I'm going to read it. He read it. He called me. We talked about it at length, and I told him the reason, all of my journey in finding out about it had been a family secret. So I found out about my great-grandmother, and then I started researching it, and blah, blah, blah. And then I wrote the true crime book, and then he's like, your story about how you went back to Missouri with your mom, and you guys didn't get along, and all of that kind of stuff, that's more fascinating to me than what your great-grandmother did. He said, I would love to see this as a memoir. And I said, I thought about writing it as a memoir, but I was told by another publisher, actually no, it was an agent. I was told by an agent, nobody reads memoir anymore. Not true, but that's what she said. So I wrote it as a true crime. And he said, I would rather see it as a memoir. If you write that book, I'll look at it. I will reread it. So I spent that summer and I rewrote this whole thing as a memoir, because when you have a publisher going, I'm very interested in this, you're going to do what that guy says. So I rewrote it as a memoir, and then I sent it to him, and he called me, and he said, I read your book yesterday all in one day. And my wife stayed home from church today so that she could finish reading it, because she started it last night and stayed up very late. And he said, it's wonderful, I love it. And I was like, yes. And he said, I'm not going to publish it. Why? Because I wasn't crazy at the end of it. He said, if you were writing this from an insane asylum, what? What are you saying? That didn't happen. But I am a high school teacher with 4 kids, so give me a few minutes. I'm very close to being in an asylum. But when I was writing this, I was writing about everybody who had already passed. So getting back to Scott's question, so here I am writing hopefully creative nonfiction. I want to engage my reader, but I certainly don't know my great-grandmother's frame of mind. She died 2 years before I was born. I knew my grandmother, who was Bertha's daughter, but it was a family secret, so we never spoke of it. I didn't know until after my grandmother had passed. So you're trying to write something, you don't know what people actually said. Then I took a trip to Missouri with my mom. I had to remember everything we said. Why? Because Mom wouldn't let me write in my journal. She wouldn't let me write. She was on it. Like, you're writing about this, aren't you? I'm just writing in my journal, Mom. I know, I don't want you to write about this. She told me that for years, and then when I told her, Mom, I'm going to write the book, she goes, I don't know why you haven't written it sooner. You can see why we didn't get along. Anyway, it's difficult, because you can't fabricate things to make your book or your short piece flow along if you're writing nonfiction. You can write creatively. Also, if you're writing about a time in the past, I'm currently reading a memoir, and the lady goes, I happen to know her. Also, once upon a time, she was a California Writers Club member many, many years ago. Now living out of state. She wrote this beautiful memoir, but she goes all the way back to her great-great-grandparents. I don't need to hear about them, but okay. But what she did was, in her research, she looked up newspaper articles and writings and things like that. She looked up things about the weather. So if she was writing about 1846, she would look at old newspapers and look at what was the weather like in January of 1846 in such and such a place. I think that's very smart, because you can do that descriptively when you're writing. You can use newspapers and old documents to kind of flesh out what you're trying to do, but to get back to Scott's dilemma, I can't help you. It's hard. It was hard for me, because I had to write about things that happened a long, long time ago. You can speculate about what people are thinking or were thinking, right? I can speculate in my book about what possibly my great-grandmother was thinking when she put arsenic in lemonade. I can speculate. What were you thinking? But I don't know. Nobody knows. And you can decide if you read the book whether she's crazy or not. Okay, what other questions do you have? I know you have questions.
The thing that you just brought up about, because Eric Larson, who wrote Devil in the White City,
Yes.
he kind of creates, he'll talk about the plants that kind of recreate that time, whether it's the weather, like I think it's the exposition in Chicago, the Devil in the White City, which is the White City was the World's Fair, basically.
Right.
Anyway, so he tries to put you into that. I mean, you can look up old newspapers and accounts of people that were there, and then the thing about you could set up a situation and say they must have been thinking, use words that it's obviously it's a conjecture statement and not a fact.
Right.
So.
And I would use, and I think, and Scott and I talked about that particular book because my son and I read it at the same time, and we both felt like, oh, this reads like a novel, and that made me suspicious of some of the stuff. I wouldn't use must, I would use might. They might have been thinking, they may have thought, or they may have thought.
Or probably, or.
Yeah.
Or.
This is a possibility.
To me, it's a very fine line between creative nonfiction and you're just making stuff up to make
Right.
the story better.
Yeah.
So.
Please don't make stuff up. Also, please don't use AI. Don't even get me started. Have you had someone come and speak to you on AI?
Yes.
Because if you haven't, you really, please don't use AI. And I'm going to say this. Someone in my family, I'm not going to call her out. Somebody in my family just published a children's book, and she has at the bottom of the cover, written and illustrated by, and then her name. And so before she published it, I tried to let her know, because I said, are you sending it out, or are you I'm self-publishing, blah, blah, blah. Okay. You know that when you self-publish through Amazon, they're going to ask you the question, does any part of this come from AI? Was any of it generated from AI? And so they're going to ask you that about your illustrations, which she's not an illustrator, she just did them through AI. And I said, so you know that's going to be asked you. Oh yes, but they're my illustrations.
Oh my gosh. I hate AI for writing. I hate it.
I'm high-fiving you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yes, I know for those of you who are like, but I use AI for editing and then, okay. I understand there's a lot of things you can do with AI, and I understand that you can design a really cool book cover with AI. I understand all of those things, but if you say these are my illustrations, but you didn't do the illustrations, you just ask AI, and this is why I said don't get me started, because I get on my soapbox. Somebody just shut me up. But I have to tell you, as a writer whose work is online, okay, my blog used to average about 1,800 to 2,000 views a month. That's a lot. I've been doing my blog for over 15 years, so there's a lot of topics out there. So I get a lot of hits on my blog. But a couple months ago, it went up to 10,000 views a month. Look at, aren't I accomplished? No. Because that's AI machines going through and scrubbing out my work. My work. So, theoretically, don't do it. Theoretically, you could ask ChatGPT to say, write me a little memoir piece about this, this, and that, and make it sound like S.K. Murphy. And theoretically, you would get back something that sounded like me. So for 3 months, I had 10,000 views a month on my blog. And then it stopped again, and now it's back to 2,000. Because that's what AI is doing. It's taking all the great works of literature. It's taking who's your favorite author, whoever it is. If it's a well-known author, their work has already been scrubbed, right? It's all in there. Please don't use AI. Please use your brain. That's what God gave it to you for, or whomever you think gave it to you. That's what it's for. It's not for AI. Okay, sorry. I'm getting off my soapbox now. I will go on and on. I know you have other questions. Either that or you're just hungry and you want to go to lunch, or you ate too many M&Ms. Anybody? My introverts are all quiet.
Can you explain the difference between memoir and personal essay?
It's the same. It's basically the same. Okay, memoir, something happened to you. Personal essay is you're going to talk about something you feel passionate about. So I might create a personal essay for my local newspaper about why our city should have a dog shelter. We don't. The city of Calamasa doesn't have a shelter. The city of Banning, which is nearby, used to have a shelter and they shut it down. So a personal essay would be, here's all my reasons that we should have this, right? So I might include anecdotal stuff in there, if that makes sense, but a personal essay is persuasive, right? That's a basic difference, if that helps. Scott?
Is memoir really nonfiction? I mean, isn't it your memory of it?
And the older we get, how much do we trust our memories? I'm sure it happened like this. This is why I like to call my brother.